China has vitiated and poisoned the politics of Asia and has weakened the voice of Asia in the councils of the world, compelling the nations in this part of the world to divert the precious resources which were badly, urgently needed to rid Asia of the scourge of poverty. This unrelenting expansionism and China's unfailing determination to dominate the whole of Asia has put a spoke in the wheel of progress of Asia. This is one of the more evil consequences of this expansionism. But we have our own share of responsibility. Had it not been for the colossal, incredible neglect of our defenses during the past 10 years, we would not have been required to undergo the humiliation to which we were subjected in October, nor we would have been called upon to make this spasmodic effort which is today demanded of us. Nonetheless, let us first take a look at the kind of enemy and his economy with whom we are confronted. I shall briefly make a reference to China's military and economic strength and then try to measure up whether our effort is adequate and secondly, it is in the proper direction. China today has a standing army of 23 lakhs, a reserve force of 22 lakhs, a militia which according to the People's Daily of 1st May 1958, which is the Army Day in China, runs into tens of millions. China maintains a navy of which has a complement of 30 submarines and 66,000 men in uniform. She has an air force with 75,000 men composed of 3,000 aircraft, a large majority of which are MiGs. The public security forces are 185,000 and there is a railway force running into 78,000. This is just a rough estimate of her armed strength. The Chinese communist regime came in possession of arms made in the USA, evaluated at about 1,700 crores. This figure is taken from Fairbanks, America and China. Add to this the massive help, both economic and military, that China has received from the Soviet Union. It was only yesterday that the defense minister told us that the Chinese are in positions of missiles. The rest of us knew. As usual, it is the government of India which learns everything a little after the rest of the nation has learned. We must take into consideration another fact of China. She devotes 4% and more of her gross national product to her defense effort. And the Chinese economy has been growing at a rate which is at least 3 times faster than India. Her coal production today is 300 million tons, compared with the 6 million tons of India. The steel production of China is already more than 14 million, and her electricity production is 3 times that of India. There is a massive basis of a modern economy on which the superstructure of her mighty military strength is based. Let us then turn to India. First, we should tell ourselves this thing, that the sinews of war are not different from the sinews of peace, and the infrastructure of defense is not different from the infrastructure of a developing economy. If we ask ourselves these questions, that whereas the effort must be large, whether we have the strength in the economy, whether the administration is able, what will be the reply? I am afraid we have this very strange spectacle that an anemic economy has been wedded, has been married to an emaciated administration. And the progeny will not certainly be socialism, but something very different, one of those monstrous productions which come out. I will be first taking the performance of our economy. The Indian economy in the first year of the third 5-year plan developed at a pace of 2.1. In the second year, from available data, it seems our rate of progress was 2.5%. We stipulated that the rate of growth of our economy in the third 5-year plan will be on an average between 5 and 6%. The actual performance is that in 1 year we have not been able to reach a rate of development In 2 years, we cannot match the rate which we asked for, stipulated for, promised to the nation in 1 year. Let us turn, other members have already referred, I will quickly refer, to agriculture. During the past 10 years, we have spent more than 2,000 crores of rupees on irrigation and allied help to agriculture. And what is the performance of our agriculture today? We find that the production in 61-62 was less than 60 and 61, and the expected production, Mr. Deputy Speaker, in 62-63 will not be higher than that we reach in 60-61. And agriculture is the basis of this country's economy. The surplus for the development was supposed to come from that. We were to save our exchange and be self-reliant. This has been the performance of agriculture. Where are you going to get the strength to sustain an economy? We will match China in the realm of social services and in the build-up of military strength. Take up another important factor, steel, which is the basis of industry. All our dreams of an industrialized India depend upon our success in rapidly, with energy, fulfilling our schemes for steel production. We have stipulated that we will be producing more than 7 million at the end of the third 5-year plan. Actually, today we are in the vicinity of 4 million tons, which was the target set up for the end of the second 5-year plan. That is what we are achieving today. I already made a reference to coal. The coal produced in 1962 was the target set up for 1960, 60 million tons. China multiplied her production of coal 4 times in the first 5-year plan. We took 10 years to increase it by only 70%. This competition with China, this battle with China will be in every sphere of our life, and it's no use giving us aggregates, financial aggregates in numbers, and once again leading the nation into a false sense, lulling it into a false sense of self-complacency and security. Since these are the financial aggregates that we are investing, everything is all right. I will now take up another aspect of our economy, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Deputy Speaker, take the very vital factor of fertilizers. We are producing today 220,000 of nitrogen as against the target of 800,000, 8 lakhs, which is stipulated. Take the question now of heavy machinery. Where are we standing? We have stipulated that we will be producing heavy machinery estimated to cost or estimated of a value of 1,500 crores at the end of 1970. This year's production is 300. This is again the infrastructure, the basis of our economy. And we find here that all the major projects are not marching, bounding, but they are stumbling, limping, going with snail's pace. The heavy foundry and forge, the coal mining machinery project, and the heavy electrical projects. If I am not quite wrong, I think we are behind the schedule by 3 years. On what are you going to build your economy? I shall have occasion, I think, during the defense budget to show the relationship. What percentage of the funds you give go for the clothing, what for arms, and what will have to go to defense production, which will be directly linked up with the civil production of a country. I shall now ask about our effort. We have seen our agriculture, steel, coal. I will be now turning to another thing, exports. We have promised that we will be exporting about 1,400 crores by the end of 1970. Actual performance today is 700 crores. Where are we going to get the aid that we will be needing, the foreign exchange we will be needing? Do we expect to be continuously spoon-fed by the rest of the world? But that will be inevitable unless we boost up. But if economy develops so slow, how are the exports to be built up? And now domestic savings we shall take. We have targeted that by 1970 we shall be saving 16 to 17% of our gross national product. Today, Mr. Deputy Speaker, our savings are in the vicinity of 9%. If this is our performance about economy, now I will be turned to our tax performance, tax collection. In a recent study, Professor Calder has pointed out that the more advanced countries save between 25% to 30%, I used the wrong verb, collect, of the gross national product between 25 to 30%. India in the first 5-year plan period collected 6% of our gross national product. At the end of the second 5-year, the figure reached 10%. And with the budget of today, we have reached a respectable figure, I agree, of 13%. An impressive performance, but let us see the requirement and let us see the performance of other countries. Britain, confronted with a similar situation during the war, was getting 40% by tax effort, because she wanted to survive and to win, and that is what a nation has to do. But I would say that the effort on the part of the finance minister has been an impressive one. What is not, however, impressive is, inadequate as it is impressive because of the past failures. But what is not impressive today is the yields, the receipts that we are supposed to get from these sources, which again are expected to bring a tax structure in line with the requirements of a developing economy. I will take a few taxes for example. Sri Murarka has very cogently said how it is a habit and how it is the experience in every country. To that tax will be evaded, how difficult it is to pay. I think if the criterion of Einstein is to be applied, all of us are Einsteins too, because we also do not know how we are taxed. I would like to point out to him, take a few examples. The capital tax. I would like to know from the Treasury benches the number of assessees in this country. In 57-58, capital gains tax in a country where the economy is developing, where prices are rising. What is the number of assessees in this country? In 1957-58, it was 405. Who will believe in this figure? And what was the tax they collected? Capital gains tax. 4 lakhs of rupees. What a staggering sum collected by our revenue collectors. In 58-59, the number of assessees was 618. In 59-60, 917, and today it is, if I am not wrong, a little more than 1,200, about 12 to 1,300. Are these the only people who are liable to taxation? When you remember how capital gains have been made in this country, what is happening? Take another example, the estate duty. Last year collection was 4 crores. A very interesting thing, Mr. Deputy Speaker. This